Corey is just kind of fussy today, so bear with me. It's it's like if I move my hand and even change the position of my breast, she loses it. She's just having a day, so let's just roll with it. I am so excited to share with you part two of how to connect with your children. And I mean, there's an art and a science to everything. So I'm just going to share from my life as a big family mom who's figured out a few things along the way. And I shared in part one that I never really worried deeply about how I would do it because when, you know, 15 years ago now, when my husband and I dedicated ourselves to trust God with the blessing of children, all of that would mean the timing, the spacing, the eventual number of children, the sanity, the money, the connecting with your kids. For me, I had put everything in that night. I said, God, this is it. Like I pushed all my chips across the table. And I'm like, I give you all. And in turn, I trust you will give me all. I truly need to do this in a way that's glorifying to you. And maybe it won't look like what, my two-child neighbor family has. Maybe it won't look like, what my parents expected grandchildren life would look like. And it's not going to look like what I expected my life to look like, but it will be good because I truly believe in my heart of hearts that God does work all things together. My imperfections, my choices, my free will, his sovereignty, how it all works together in the mystery of his grace. So, with that foundation, which I unpacked in part one, today I'm going to share about the flip side of it, which are the practical things that I have intentionally woven into the fabric of my big family, stay at home, homeschooling mom life that I do. I know, on purpose. So, here's a couple of them to bless you today in this pioneering life called Big Family Moms, because I had never seen it before. I grew up in a family of four, which is by Canadian standards where I live, still a large family. But how much more today, right? How many of you, like at church, are you the biggest family that you know, or you're one of them, or you're soon going to be one of them? We can feel so disconnected from other big families that we've yet to see it done. And of course, we hear the horror stories, just like I was talking to my husband about it this morning. He grew up in a family where they did a lot of fostering with the Children's Aid Service. And so they had like something like 50 children over the course of 25 years in and out of his home. And you always hear about the horror stories that sadly do happen in the foster care system. But how many more are these quiet, unsung heroes like my husband's parents who just faithfully, lovingly, selflessly gave themselves to this beautiful act of foster care, for example? How many more big families just faithfully, consistently, imperfectly, and yet by God's grace raise up uncommonly big families? No, three plus is the bare minimum today, by my estimation. If you're outnumbered by your kids, you are the beginning of a big family, especially if you have a heart to welcome all God's children as we do. So, all the children God will send you, as we do. So, yeah, you hear the horror stories, but just think mathematically, how many more of them are good stories, encouraging stories? And that's why I love the Big Family Moms group that I have the pleasure of hosting. Link below if you want to check it out, where we can encourage each other with the practical day to day how to's, but also just realizing we're not alone and this can be done. There are thousands upon thousands, if not millions, who've gone before us, raised up big families, trusted God with the size and all the logistics, including connecting. So, one of the things that I've intuitively done as I was figuring out how to be a mom at all, because I certainly wasn't prepared for that. And then all of a sudden we had 3 to 3, 4 to 4, 5 to 5. I'm like, how do we do this? But again, deep breath. God, you will make it work. You promise in Colossians 1:17 that you hold all things together. So you hold me together, you're going to hold this family together. It's going to work. It's going to be a mystery. And at the same time, I'm going to apply myself like Hudson Taylor, who said as he went to be a missionary in inland China, that he prayed like it all depended on God and he lived like it all depended on him. But there's a tension there, right? Because you're just like, is it enough? Is it enough? Is it enough? I trust God to shore up the difference. So even though there's times when I have moments of self-doubt, I'm like, is it enough? And that's when I bring it to God. So some of the things that I have done have really been in a line with a book I've yet to read. I just ordered it from the library, which is the love languages, the 5 love languages for your children. I've read the adult version of that. I believe it's Gary Chapman is the author. Very popular book about the 5 love languages, which my husband and I have gone through. There's like online tests you can take to help you understand how your, in this case, your husband, your wife, your my husband, he's different than me. Opposites attract usually, right? And his love language, basically, what really does it for him, what connects with him, is somewhat different than me. And when we understand that more about each other, then we can better communicate and actually like affirm each other and say like, I see you, I value, I love you. So real quick, in case you're not familiar with them, the 5 love languages that he's identified and really resonate with me and a lot of others, huge best-selling books, helped millions of families, is I wrote them down here. So there's touch, time, words of affirmation, gifts, and acts of service. And without, breaking it all down, you can get the book. It's fantastic. You can probably just Google it because there's websites you can give you a quick rundown. You can even do a quiz to see like, what is my love language? And once you hear it, you're like, yeah, that's totally does it for me. And when people don't do that, or they do the opposite, like if they're giving you gifts all the time and you're like, that doesn't do it for me. I mean, gifts are nice, thanks, I guess. But what I really appreciate is time, or I really appreciate is touch. Well, being a stay-at-home mom all my life, I haven't gone back into the traditional workforce since I became a mom 17 years ago. I intuitively got to know these kids. I'm with them all the time. And most of my children, I can see now, looking back, that they've been hardwired, the personalities. I thought they came out like Play-Doh and you just 100% nurture. Turns out there's nurture in nature. There's wiring and there's also influence. But that hardwiring that was there is still there. And I've only had the pleasure of watching it develop. So I think of one of my sons, twin sons, super relaxed, super laid back. He like put his arms behind his head when he was having a bottle because I pumped for them. They were born premature. It was easier to pump. So he put his arms back. Whereas his twin brother grabbed that bottle with vigor and just pounded it back. And to this day, their personalities have matched up with just their style. So I've discovered which of my children are the touchers. You know why? Because they touch me. They touch me all the time. I'm not a hugger. I don't need hugs to feel loved. I don't need a lot of touch in that sense to really feel seen and connected with and valued. But there are at least 3 of my kids off the top of my head. Go talk to daddy, hun. He's downstairs. Dad's home today and I'm up here.
Can you change the Bluey to the last episode?
Please go ask daddy. He'll help you. She's got to go downstairs. So what was I saying? Right. So hugs don't do it for me. But one of my sons, my 11-year-old Beau, we've developed this little habit. No one taught me, but I'll share it with you in case it's helpful. I make a point every day, if not every other day, as soon as I see him, I just say, hey, have we had our hug today? And we have this extra long hug. It's like a 15-second just holding each other kind of hug. And I can feel him melting in my arms. It's filling his cup up like so fast. He feels so seen and valued and loved. Like I can feel him like a sun, like a plant reaching to the sun. But I have other children that if I just did that with them, they would hold there like a stiff piece of wood. Doesn't do it for them. But I know I've gotten to know them by the stay-at-home mom advantage. I've gotten to know that for them, and thinking of my other son who's on the spectrum, for him, doing acts of service, like helping facilitate his particular borderline OCD interests, really means a lot to him. I see him and I see who he is, and I don't expect him to fit inside of the one size fits all love box. I have other children who are talkers. Talk, 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 talk. And I'm pretty introverted by nature. I mean, I'm here at home, right? Like I'm talking with you, but I'm also alone in my bedroom, which is like my happy place. So I've got talkers and I give them space throughout the week, maybe not every single day, to talk. Where usually I'm multitasking, I'm making supper or something, and I'll be like, they just want to talk, 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 and ask me questions. And I'll say, okay, I got about 20 minutes of practical time and of emotional bandwidth to be in a conversation with someone who's asked, just wants to talk or they want to do the talking, I'm doing the listening. So I make space and just kind of weave it in throughout the week. I don't try to do this every day. Now, when it comes to connecting with your kids, I think a lot of moms are thinking it has to look like one-on-one time. And I talked about this in part 1. That's just to get logistically impossible and stressful when you've got 7, 8, 9 kids. Honestly, when you start to get up to the 5, 6 mark, you're like, how can I do an individual bedtime story for them all at bedtime? I mean, it starts to get ridiculous, right? So you double up, you triple up. And I think that that's absolutely valid. I remember being read to, and I wasn't thinking, why aren't I getting this one-on-one time? Why isn't it me, myself alone? As if me, myself alone time is the only way to express, I love you, you're valuable to me, and to build those strong lifetime ties of connection, those cords of love that are not easily broken, like the Bible talks about. Love that language. So, one on one time might be something that some of your children need more of than others. And I tag team with my husband on that when we definitely, we look for ways, especially during more tender seasons, if one of our children is going through something physical, something emotional, and we see that they have a need, then we're going to carve that out of our busy big family mom and dad lives, and we'll make some space and some special grace for them. But I don't burden myself to think I have to do it like everybody else, or else I'm screwing the kids up. They're going to end up in therapy. Emotionally handicapped people who can't function in adult relationships in the world that God has brought them into. So I'm just touching on a couple of things. There's so much more I could talk about. In fact, I've got an entire course on connecting with the kids. I'm just drawing out a couple of the key points to give you some practical things in case there's something here you're like, ooh, that really makes sense in my life. I'm going to put that into practice, make a little tweak, make some adjustments of what makes sense for you with your family model. But keeping in mind the different love languages. And like I said, I'm going to read the book. So I'll report back later and let you know my findings, what I'll be testing out in my own family, in my own children, and just gleaning and getting more practical tips and ideas of how I could do that while not completely stressing myself out and taking on God level pressure. If it's all up to me and it has to be mathematically calculated in hours and minutes logged, or else it's not valid, it's not valuable, and it doesn't really count. So I just have rejected that premise. And from a place of trust and a place of intentionality, I trust God to weave it all together and shore up the difference. What would be another example here? Let me see, I got a good one. Oh, the hugs of, oh, here's the last one I'll give you. With my older children, and even the ones who can't yet write, if they want to talk to mommy, they just want to talk to me, or they have a question, or they'd like me to facilitate an acts of service, arrange a gift of some kind, whether it's a gift of of time or something physical that they would like me to consider. I use the microwave. So front and central in our kitchen, I've got little sticky notes. I'm a sticky note girl. I have them everywhere. I tell them, make a sticky note. So if they would like to book a one-on-one because they want to talk about something perhaps more serious, they're having a conflict with somebody, um, or they just want to talk in privacy. This is not an at the table kind of discussion. They really do want to have a private, uh, discreet conversation with me, dad, or both of us. They can put a sticky note in the microwave. Can we talk? And as soon as I see that from one of my teens, I book it within 24 hours. If not that same night, I will make time. I'll let them stay up past their bedtime when it's all quiet, in the evening, maybe 9 o'clock at night, or I'll clear the level, after the littles have gone to bed and say, hey, we're just having a private talk in the living room. Everybody else get out of earshot. That way, my older children know they can book mom and dad, that we are there for them in a heartbeat. Absolutely. If they have a boo boo in their body, like when they're little kids, they'll stop everything to help them right away. And I'm always paying attention to what's going on. I've got my ears. I don't play a lot of music anymore because I got to keep my ears on, right? Keep my ears on for the kids, but I keep my emotional scope out as well to see how's everybody doing, keeping my eyes out. And if anybody's acting a little unusual, seems a little bit extra grouchy or not doing well, I can reach out to them and be like, hey, you seem a little bit off. Anything I can help you with or pray for you? So again, we have the stay-at-home mom advantage. That's huge. And even if you're not a full-time stay-at-home mom, you are tied to your children in a way that is, I mean, it's mystical, it's beautiful, it's powerful. Let's not underestimate the mother-child bond. It's there. The microwave, and with my kids who aren't even yet able to write words, they'll draw a picture so that I can say to them, what is this picture? What does this little note mean? It's like, oh, mom, remember you said you were going to iron my perler beads by Friday? And I'm like, yes, thank you for the note because, sometimes I just forget and I get busy because ironing perler beads isn't my priority. I could wait, 2 months to iron the perler beads. But when there's a sticky note in the microwave, it helps me remember and give them something that means something to them. They might think, ironing perler beads, how does that connect with your kids? But for one kid, it might mean a lot more than it does to someone else because I think the heart of connecting with your kids is I see you. I see you out of the whole crowd of children. I see you. I love you. I and I will do what I can as your mother by the grace of God to build you up, to nurture you, to encourage you, to prepare you for life and godliness. And that I think is a valuable part of connecting with our kids. And I do have some practical tips. I hope this has helped you today. I've only given you a smattering. So if you'd like some more, you want to talk about this some more, maybe share your experience or some tips that have worked really well in your family model, you've maybe just stumbled upon in this big family pioneer mom life, feel free to pop in the group if you're not already in Big Family Moms, or put your comments below in the video if you're catching this inside of the group. I'd love to hear what connected with you, what's working for you. And if you have any other questions as a big family mom with its connecting or anything else, feel free to share in the group. I'd love to connect with you there. We can be a resource to one another. And I can point you to other things that I have in the group that will really help you in your big family mom life to have more confidence, more calm. She finally fell asleep. She's snoring. And just create that organization in your life so you don't feel so spazzed out all the time with, oh, am I doing it right? Because I know how that feels and it can be a lot of pressure. So God bless you. I'm going to pop out. Got some stuff to do today and the weekend is coming. It's spring in the air. I hope you're having a great spring. I live north of 60. I'm up in Canada. So spring's still going to be another month, but today there's puddles outside. So I'm going to go get some vitamin D and fresh air today. I hope you will too.